Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome to part 1 of What If Naruto has a demonic heritage. If you guys enjoyed this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So now let's start this video. Demons don't cry, devils don't cry, I sniff won't sniff cry, said a child, as the tears of sorrow poured from his beautiful blue eyes. His silver hair was matted to his head from rain. His clothes were torn and bloody. He couldn't be older than 5, and yet he was kneeling over a body. The body of the woman who was the best thing to come into the small boy's life. And she was dead, lying in a pool of her own blood. His right arm felt like it was on fire. His small body was beat up and sore, and a large katana stuck out the ground not a few feet away. The blade was stained crimson with blood that seemed to eerily slide down the blade into the ground. But he didn't care. Not about the sword, his pain-racked body, or even his arm, which now glowed a supernatural blue, and seemed more demonic than that of a man's. No, all he cared about was her, the one he loved, the one he lost. Might controls everything. Without power you cannot protect anything, let alone yourself. The voice seemed to echo from all around him. It was the last thing he heard before passing out from exhaustion. From that day forward my arm changed and that voice echoed, power, give me more power. Anyway, I'm Uzumaki Naruto and I'm on my way to pass a ninja exam. Why? So I can kill shit and not get in trouble for it. I'm I'm unique. I don't really know what to call my powers. A curse, gift, or bloodline, not like it matters what I call it. But whatever you want to call them, know that they come in handy when killing demons. And I'm gonna do everything I can to destroy every last one of those bastards. You see, they took someone from me, someone I really cared about. What did they do to her? They killed her. But let me start over from the beginning to clear things up a bit. Flashback. Sarutobi the Sandaime, or Third Hokage, also known as the Professor because of his vast knowledge of jutsu and his ability to utilize them all in combat effectively. But even with all his jutsu, his power, and his skill, he was still stuck at his desk going through papers. None of his abilities could help him find what he was looking for, a caretaker for a 4-year-old boy. It should have been easy, but this boy was none other than Uzumaki Naruto, the chosen container of the Kyuubi. To many people he was the creature sealed inside him. They ignored the 4th Hokage's last wish to treat the boy as a hero. No, they did the opposite. They used the boy as a scapegoat for their problems. He was once again looking through a stack of files of individuals that could take in a young boy and raise him. He had already thrown out most of them. They must have, though he was senile or stupid. He knew they still held grudges against the fox, and it would be the ideal situation for an accident to occur. This is ridiculous, he shouted, angrily slamming his fists into his desk, both scattering papers and splintering the sturdy wood under him. Wait. His hand blurred for a moment, snatching a paper out of the air that had caught his eye. I wonder how I missed this one. A civilian chef who settled here a little before the attack. No family left. But not because of the fox. Appropriate space. No grudges against Naruto for what is sealed inside him. And is also a friend of the family. She's perfect. Still looking at her file, he called. He knew. There was the sound of rushing wind in front of him. Yes, Hokage-sama the third looked up from his paper to see an Umbu guard with silver hair and a dog mask standing before him. Would you please get Uzumaki Naruto for me? There is someone I'm sure he'd be happy to meet, he said, still in deep thought. Yes, Hokage-sama, the man said, then disappeared in a swirl of leaves. The third sighed before getting up. I will have to watch them for a few days just to be sure. If there are no mishaps, I'll leave them be. He then walked out of his office, sandaled feet, making no noise as they carried him towards his destination. Devils don't cry. Naruto was having a good day. The boy was walking down the street humming a merry tune. First, he had gotten a free bowl of this stuff called ramen for being the very first customer to a new stand by stumbling in by chance. It tasted great, definitely one of the best things he'd eaten. He wiped the drool making its way to his chin. So far no one had said anything mean to him. No cold stares today, they just ignored him, and that was fine. He even got to play with some other kids without the parents yelling at him and dragging their children away. Then he got back at that jerk who had ripped him off a few days ago and didn't get caught. It's amazing what yelling pervert at a guy near the hot springs can do. Just thinking about it made him laugh. That guy didn't know what hit him. And it serves him right. First he overcharged my groceries a few days ago, and then he has the balls to peek in the women's hot spring. Chuckling merrily as he continued on his way, no paying attention to where he was going. Yep, my day is going. Oof. Ow, that hurt. The young boy said, rubbing his nose. What I hit? Looks like a knee. Looking up slowly, he saw a silver hair guy with a dog mask on. Alright Naruto, be smooth. Play it cool, you can get out of this one, you've done it before. Taking his calming breath and letting it go slowly. Alright, I got this. I didn't do it, I swear. He yelled out defiantly. The Umbu looked at him for a moment, his mask-covered eyes seemed go pierce straight through him. Naruto was starting to sweat. Actually, he said in a bored tone, I came to get you. The Hokage wishes to see you. Phew, that was a close one. Naruto thought, wiping his forehead. I almost thought dash. But if there is anything you'd like to confess, he continued. Naruto laughed nervously. Hee, of course not, Umbu-san. I haven't done anything all day. I just happened to see someone being beaten mercilessly by a group of angry women in towels. You wouldn't have anything to do with that, would you? He drawled out in his bored tone. Of course not, Umbu-san. He must have just got caught doing something bad, he said nervously. Come on, please buy it. I suppose, anyway, come with me to the Hokage. He knew, but honestly it was still pretty funny. Besides, that guy had it coming. Alright, lead the way, Umbu-san. Few close call. But the good day continues. Devils don't cry. You see, that is why I need you to take care of him. The orphanage is being biased towards him, and I don't trust many others to actually take care of him. And the ones I do trust don't have the time to watch him. I also thought that since you were a good friend of Kushina, you wouldn't have any anger toward him. The third paused to study the woman across from him. She had light brown hair kept in a ponytail, but a few loose strands framed her angelic face. Her eyes were a soft brown that held nothing but kindness. She wore a simple sundress with an apron over it, but that only seemed to enhance her beauty. She even had a figure even most kunoichi would die for. Seeing no suspicious actions, he continued. Of course his opinion matters as well. So if you agree, we will also see if he accepts. The woman, who had been quiet the entire time while listening patiently, finally spoke. I would be happy to look after him, Hokage-sama. I could use the company and the help. Besides, I always wanted a son to look after. The third nodded his approval. Now will Naruto accept you? A swirl of leaves kicked up to reveal Inu along with a passenger who was currently amazed at how they managed to get here. Whoa! Umbu-san, how'd you do that? That was awesome. I mean, we were just standing there, you moved your hands and poof, we're here. Naruto seemed to stall for a moment before resuming full force. Can you teach me how to do that, please, 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 please? Inu seemed to think about it, and Naruto's eyes glittered with hope. Maybe, the Umbu started. Yes, Naruto, joy-filled cry echoed through the room. Then began a victory dance. When you're older, he finished. Naruto, who had been jumping around the room in joy, came crashing to the floor head first. Naruto, sit down please. The third said, getting the attention of the small boy who was now nursing a large bump on his head with comedic tears streaming down his face and mumbling to himself. The boy, having his hopes dashed by the Umbu, went to throw himself in the empty chair, not noticing the female occupant of the room. The third cleared his throat, snapping Naruto out of his daze. Naruto, I called you here to ask you a very important question. The Hokage now had Naruto's full attention. The woman next to you has heard of your problems with the orphanage and has proposed a remedy to the situation. Naruto didn't know where this was going, and bringing up the orphanage made him remember things that were less that desirable during his short stay there. Finally noticing the woman next to him, he was stunned by how pretty she was. What would she want with someone like me? Catching himself staring, he turned to the Hokage and asked, So what question do you want to ask? The woman decided this would be an appropriate time to speak. Naruto, I'm Kairi and I was a good friend of your mother. Naruto's eyes widened at this. And after hearing your problem, I've decided that I can adopt you, that is, if you want. If Naruto's eyes were big before, they were huge now. Naruto was thinking in overtime. This lady who was nice and pretty wanted to adopt him. Is this a joke? No, it couldn't be. Gigi wouldn't do that to him, would he? No, Gigi never hurt him before, why would he stat now? I want a family. But how do I know that she won't just turn out like all the other mean people? The others could tell the boy was struggling. Should he pass up this chance and risk losing it forever, or take it and risk being hurt again? As much as they wanted to help him, they couldn't. This was his choice and he had to make it. The boy's struggle was quickly becoming even more fierce. Tears were slowly gathering in his eyes. I don't want to be alone anymore. I'm tired of the only one not having a family. It's not fair. Will she be any different than the others, that the ones who call me a demon, a monster, and curse me while I'm not looking? After watching the boy fight and tried to sort his feelings, the boy spoke up. I just have one question, just one. Kairi looked at him. His hair was now shadowing his eyes. What is it? She asked gently, careful not to scare him. The boy finally looked up, tears streaming down his face. Nothing goofy or funny about them. These were real tears, tears that held so much pain, more than any child should have, and he was trying to hold them back. Will you love me? The woman stood from her chair and went kneel in front of him. She looked into his teary eyes and gently wrapped him in a hug. I will love you like my own, she whispered softly in his ear. Naruto returned the hug full force, as if scared she would disappear if let go. His mask crumbled, and for the first time in a long time, and he openly cried tears of fear, sadness, but most of all joy, because he finally found a family. The Sandaime and Umbu watched silently as the scene unfolded before them. Soon all the essentials were taken care of, and Naruto was on his way to his new home with his new mother. Devils don't cry. What followed the next few months was perfect. Kairi was the mother Naruto always dreamed about, smart, kind, and beautiful. She was also gentle. She never got angry when he did something wrong. She would just smile and corrected him. And Naruto did everything he could to be the best son possible to see that smile. When his birthday had came around, she had actually managed to give him a party at her restaurant. Everything was in place: food, presents, but most of all friends. The Hokage was there along with old man Tucci and his daughter, Ayam, from the Ichiraku ramen bar. Kairi was even able to convince the parents of children that were his own age had come to play with him. It was great. He had been sure to be nice to them to make sure to prove the bad rumors about him wrong. He even learned all the names. There was Hinata, Sakura, Shino, Choji, Shikamaru, Ino, and Kiba. He didn't know how Kairi did it, but then again he didn't care. They were even happy to be there. They weren't just forced to come. It was the best day of Naruto's life. Everything was perfect. Too bad it was all about to end. Devils don't cry. Sarutobi was disturbed. He had been getting more and more reports of lesser demon fights. While the lesser demons themselves weren't surprising, after all there were creatures such as the nine-tailed fox that roamed the land, it was still alarming at the increasing frequency of the attacks. Some villages and travelers that didn't have shinobi or any other type of defense were in great danger. Devils don't cry. Kairi and Naruto were currently returning from an outer village northeast of Konoha that had specific ingredients needed for the restaurant. It's been a couple of months since Kairi first adopted Naruto, and if a person would see them, they would not believe the child was adopted, let alone a few months ago. They seemed like any other mother and son. Naruto was helping set up camp when he heard it, an eerie laughter that sounded inhuman. Then he saw them. They seemed to come out of nowhere. Ugly, bulbous creatures. Some had a crude scythe for an arm while others had the blade for a leg. They seemed slightly slow and moved oddly, that is, until they started attacking him. They seemed to jump and attack in complicated formations. His small form was hard-pressed to avoid all of them. They had even managed to surround him. Just when he thought things couldn't get any worse, he heard a sound that scared him worse than any laugh these creatures could produce. It was the sound of Kairi's scream. While trying to avoid these monsters, he had forgot that she had went to refill their canteens with the nearby steam. She was in danger. Forgetting all worries about his own safety, he charged the nearest monster with a scythe on their leg. It is unbalanced with its weapon, so it should take longer to recover if knocked down. His analyst was quick and fueled by emotion. The nearest one with a blade on its leg was in front of a few others like it. He pushed his legs harder. He needed all the momentum he could get. The monsters had not moved yet, either out of curiosity of what he was doing or amusement at his retaliation. It left Naruto the opening he needed. Naruto, not slowing in the slightest, reared back his right fist and slammed it into the creature. Whether by his momentum or his strength, it was enough to knock the creature off its feet and into a few enemies behind it. All of them went tumbling to the ground as a result. Naruto flew past them, stepping on some in his path. Hearing another scream, he ran faster. If he hadn't been worried about Kairi so much and getting there, he might have noticed the faint blue glow coming from his right arm, the one used to punch the monster for an opening. Trees seemed to be a blur, and they flew by him at impressive speeds. His lungs and legs were burning and cry out in protest from the strain he was putting them though. Pio re pa, ha, what was that, he wondered, but a third scream broke that train of though. It sounded more desperate, more fearful. He needed to hurry. He finally broke through the trees into a clearing. Seeing Kairi surrounded by those monsters, already looking slightly scratched up, he acted on instinct alone. "Leave her alone!" he screamed, punching the one that was about to lunge at her with all his might. It flew into a group of others and exploded, seemingly to the shock of the other creatures. "Naruto, watch out!" Naruto barely turned in time to see one take a swipe at him. Time seemed to slow. As he moved out of the weapon's range, he saw another lunge from out the corner of his eye, the blade on its arm trying to slice him in two. "Oh no, you don't." It seemed to come natural to him. He suddenly lashed out with his arm, grabbing the monster by the legs, spinning him around, hitting ones around him, and throwing it back at a group of them. Only at that moment did he notice the blue glow his arm was giving off. Everything seemed to stop, even the creatures recognized his arm, and they seemed to be scared of it. Then suddenly a brilliant flash of light came from his arm, blinding the creatures, Kairi, and even Naruto himself. When they all regained their sight, they stood there in awe. Naruto's arm, while still human-shaped, looked more demonic, composed of armor that was a dark reddish hue, and the area under the armor was blue, replacing skin that was once at the hand and shone through the cracks in the armor. "Power, give me more power!" Naruto held his head in pain as the voice echoed through his mind. Now the creatures, all recovered from their shock, now recognized him as a threat, and they were going to get rid of it. They all attacked at once, some jumping in air while others rushed him from the ground. Time froze. "You are not going to die, not when you are one of my descendants. You got the power, it's in your blood, and all you have to do is use it." Naruto looked around wildly for the voice when he saw him. He towered over Naruto. He wore black pants, a dark blue shirt, and topped it off with a large light blue coat. His stark white hair was slicked back neatly, and he had gray eyes that seemed to pierce into Naruto's own blue orbs. "Are you or are you not one of my blood? Use your power to destroy this trash. After all, you want to save her, don't you?" He glanced at Kairi for a moment before looking back at Naruto. Naruto thought for a moment. He could use anything to help him take these things down. He had to protect Kairi. "I'll do whatever it takes," Naruto said finally, with a look of determination in his eyes. The man pulled out a long katana and held it out horizontally. "You see this sword, young one?" Naruto nodded. "This is the sword of a great devil, and only another of that devil's blood can wield it. Will you accept the power to crush your enemies, even if it means becoming just like them?" Naruto went silent. Would he? If that sword is that powerful, he could save Kairi, protect her. But he would become a demon, a devil. He looked at Kairi's fear-filled face, fear of him dying. He turned back to the man who hadn't moved from his spot, from watching him patiently waiting for an answer. "I accept my blood and my power." Glancing to Kairi again, his eyes lingered on her before turning back. "I just want the power to protect her. I don't care if I become a demon." The man studied him with powerful gray eyes. With a nod, held out the sword. "By accepting the blood of your ancestors, I bestow upon you Yamato. Draw your blade, accept our power, and become stronger than any other." Naruto shakily reached over and took the blade from the man's hand. And with that, the man disappeared. No leaves, no smoke, just gone. But he didn't have time to think about it. Things were coming back to life. Unsheathing the man's sword, his sword, the blade let out a dull ring in his left hand as he sprang into action. Yamato whistled through the air, moving in a blur of speed, and leaving nothing but a flash of light in its wake. By the time the demons were back to normal speed, he had already cut through half of their numbers. They were attacking with everything they had now. One came from above. He brought Yamato up to block the slash, throwing the creature off balance, then cut its torso off. He then grabbed at the creature that was trying to sneak up on him with his right hand, but what grabbed the creature was a larger hand, fully blue and seemingly spiritual, but still the same shape. "It doesn't matter. I'll become a demon to protect her." With that, he took the creature still in his grasp and slammed it into the ground. Its body was crushed by the force. Instinct seemed to take over completely. As he fought, he changed. His hair lost its sun-kissed shine and was replaced with brilliant silver, similar to the man in blue. His body structure changed ever so slowly, becoming built for battle. And his blue eyes seemed to now glow with untapped potential. Upward slash, cutting an enemy in half, growing up. Jumping into the air, following force of the slash. Grab, pulling one up to him only to crush it back into the ground, using gravity as his weapon as well. Downward slash while falling, splitting one cleanly down the middle into two pieces. Horizontal slash, cutting through three of them, while grabbing another to smash it into the ground. The carnage continued. They never stood a chance meeting their end from either Yamato or his demonic arm. All throughout the battle it felt as if Naruto had done this before. Yamato felt like an extension of his very soul, and his demonic arm seemed to respond perfectly to his will. Finally he cut though the last one. He was gasping for breath and his muscles were burning, but he and Kairi were alive. He turned around to see Kairi's face smiling at him, only to be replaced by a look of shock as a blade stuck out of her stomach. No! Pain was forgotten. Adrenaline-fueled energy returned full force as he moved in a blur, appearing next to the monster, grabbing it with his demonic arm to smash the creature into the ground once, twice, 3 times, then crushing it in his grip mercilessly. Seeing the wound, he calmed himself. The blade went through but missed any internal organs. He didn't know how, but he knew. He tore his blood-stained t-shirt and quickly wrapped the wound. Hold on Mom, Konoha isn't far. He already had her on his back. Yamato was mysteriously sheathed and by his side, and using every bit of his will and strength he pushed toward their destination in a dead sprint. He could already feel her blood seeping through his crude bandages. He didn't know how long it was, only it started to rain and that she was fading fast. Hold on Mom, we're almost there. Hold on. His silver hair was matted to his head, tears and rain streaming down his face. He felt his foot catch a snag and tripped. They went crashing to ground. He could see her land a few feet away. Yamato also went flying into the air, falling out of its sheath and stabbing into the ground. Help! Somebody help us! Even as he screamed out for someone, he was heaving himself up. Rushing to her, the blood had soaked through her bandages completely, and her breathing was ragged. Come on Mom, we're almost there. He tried to pick her up, but his strength was failing him. Anyone help us! He heard a sound and saw 2 chunin appear beside him. They seemed started at his arm, but his heart leapt in hope. You gotta help her, she's dying, we got attacked. Don't just stand there, carry her. Teleport her, get a fucking medic. Do something. Naruto was hysterical now. Kairi needed help and these guys were just standing there staring. These chunin were battle-hardened. They knew the woman wouldn't make it. She wouldn't survive the trip, whether physical or chakra. Even she knew it, they could see it in her eyes. Naruto's eyes were clouded with tears. The rain poured on and around them. Do something please, he begged. Naruto, he heard her weak voice and instantly focused his attention on Kairi, moving quickly to her side, putting her head in his lap. Naruto, I'm sorry, you tried your best, we both did, but I can't make it. She reached up, caressing his face with the back of her hand. He leaned his head into her head and holding it with his to give the cold hand warmth. I wanted to surprise you. I know how you wanted to be Hokage, so I signed you up for the academy and paid for it. Be strong, Naruto. If not for yourself, for me. It hurts knowing that I'm leaving you alone again, and I'm so sorry. They were both crying now. Don't leave me, Mom, please. He whispered. Naruto-kun, did I ever tell you I love it when you call me that? It makes me feel great being your mother. Her grip then weakened and went limp. Her breathing slowed and stopped. And her eyes closed, never to see the world again. Mom! M.O.M. M.O.M. His fists were clenched so tight blood seeped from his palms. His head was bowed as he tried his best not to cry. Let it out, Naruto, is okay to cry. Sandamine said from behind Naruto. Demons don't cry. Devils don't cry. I sniff won't sniff cry. And with that he broke down. Tears of sadness and hate came free as he held her body close and cried. His right arm felt like it was on fire. His small body was beat up and sore, and a large katana stuck out the ground not a few feet away. The blade was stained crimson with blood that seemed to eerily slide down the blade to the ground. But he didn't care. Not about the sword, his pain-racked body, or even his arm, which now glowed a supernatural blue, seemingly more demonic-like than that of a man's. No, all he cared about was her, the one he loved, the one he lost. Mom, might controls everything. Without power you cannot protect anything, let alone yourself. The voice seemed to echo from all around him. It was the last thing he heard before passing out from exhaustion. Devils don't cry. A few days later we find Naruto along with others' families, from the Hyuga family to the Ichiraku ramen stand family, at the funeral of Kairi Uzumaki. Naruto didn't shed a tear, he couldn't. He had cried himself to sleep for the last few days. The only thing hiding that fact was the thick sunglasses. He just stood there, in his black clothes and bandaged arm in a sling, staring at that stone. Here lies Kairi Uzumaki, loved by all, dear friend, ally, and most of all, mother. The third stood next to him. Aji-san, when does the academy start? He spoke suddenly. In a few days, Naruto. Why? The third asked, puzzled. Because I need more power. This won't happen again, ever, and I need someone to help me with my sword. After all, might controls everything. Without power you cannot protect anything, let alone yourself. The Hokage sighed. Very well Naruto, I'll see what I can do. End flashback. Naruto stood before the academy entrance in baggy black pants and a large black trench coat. He didn't do shirts, they always got messed up when he used his powers. Besides, most his age thought the seal on his stomach was a tattoo. His hair was messy and worn down, and his look was complete with black combat boots, Yamato by his side, and his right arm bandaged up to the shoulder. After all, no one needs to know about my trump card so soon anyway. He looked at his bandaged arm and clenched it, causing a faint blue to shine through the bandages. Might controls everything. Without power you cannot protect anything, let alone yourself. He then kicked down the door and walked in. I need more power to protect the ones I love. A descendant of Sparta has been revealed, a devil born, and he's ready to kick some ass. A young man with a scar on the bridge of his nose sat silently at his desk next to his silver-haired assistant. If one would glance at him, it would seem as if he was finalizing his paperwork, but to the more trained eye they would notice he was silently observing the students. We have quite a few genin hopefuls this year, don't we, Irika-sensei? The silver-haired assistant spoke. Yeah, I noticed there seemed to be more this year, Mizuki. I only hope I've taught them well enough to pass both my exam and their jounin senseis. Observe carefully, we will have to make teams not only based on academics but also on how they have interacted in class. The students themselves were blissfully unaware as they continued their excited chatter. Many students were bragging on how they would pass easily while others were tired from cramming all night. Irika finished his observation and turned to his assistant. Mizuki, you can go ahead and start roll now. Sure, the man said, getting up. Mizuki tried, but he was painfully unsuccessful in getting the class's attention. A little help, Irika-sensei? He asked, looking a little embarrassed. Irika chuckled to himself before getting up and taking a deep breath. Quiet down! Utilizing his powerful demon head jutsu. Silence seemed to settle instantly. Irika patted Mizuki's shoulder good-naturedly before returning to his seat. While Mizuki called roll, Irika mentally listed the most promising students. Let's see, the Inoshikacho trio look interesting. They are already close and teamwork should come naturally to them with their techniques supporting one another. I might make a tracking team with Hinata, Shino, and Kiba. Kiba may bring Hinata and Shino out of their shells while they calm him down a bit. All that Inuzuka pride could get him killed. Who's left? Sakura, while not from any clan, has the book smarts to make it through the exam, and hopefully she will have a jounin sensei that will make her more useful in the field. I'll put her with Sasuke to balance them out since he is the year's rookie. Wham! The door suddenly flew across the room at speeds that would put some ninja to shame and crashed into the far wall. Naruto calmly strolled in, absently scratching at the whisker-like birthmarks on his cheeks, and took the nearest seat, kicking his legs up on the desk. Naruto, he needs to let people in. I know the death of his mother hit him hard, but the kid constantly trains himself into the ground. If he actually tried in class, he would do well. I really don't have a choice but to put him with Sasuke and Sakura since he is dead last. Mizuki finished roll and explained the exams. They would start with written then move on to practical. The tests were handed out and done soon after, so all that was left was for the students to perform a simple bunshin. Some kids came out with their new headband while others only left with disappointed faces and some even in tears. Soon it was Naruto's turn. Uzumaki, Naruto, Mizuki called, his head poking out from the test room. Naruto? He called again, looking up from his paper. Yeah, I'm up, damn it, don't get your panties in a twist. Naruto walked by, ignoring the angry Chunin. Naruto, you must create at least 3 basic bunshin, and Irika started. Yeah, I know. Naruto went through the proper hand seals and in a poof 3 perfect clones were next to him. Excellent Naruto, you pass. Here is your headband and congratulations on becoming a Kona Genin. But how come you didn't take the test earlier if you can perform the jutsu perfectly? Irika asked his student, looking greatly puzzled. Naruto shrugged. Didn't feel like it. He grumbled while walking out and tying his headband to his left arm. If he had looked, he would have seen an evil glint in Mizuki's eyes. Walking outside, he made his way through the huge amount of parents there to congratulate their kids on becoming a genin. Like always, he was only met with glares, whispers, and the shuffling of people eager to move out of his path. Naruto felt his heart ache a bit watching a student run up to hug a woman who must have been his mother. He clenched his bandaged hand absently while crushing the sadness back down. I have better things to do than dwell on the past. Naruto thought as he shot a glare to two women in a corner who he heard talking about him. They stood paralyzed as he unleashed directed killing intent at them. He stared into their fearful eyes before releasing them and walking away. That'll make the bitches think twice next time. The two women suddenly fell to the ground when released, their legs no longer able to support their weight. They both sat there trembling and in tears from the after effects of the mental assault. Seeing one's own gruesome death will to that to a person. Devils don't cry. The setting sun was now casting a glow over the training ground. In the beauty of the sun's rays, the training ground looked like a war zone. Trees were destroyed, while craters and deep slash marks littered the ground. Naruto was nearby, hunched over, on one of the few patches of green left, trying to catch his breath. His coat was off, leaving his chest bare, and showing off muscles that would make a girl drool. The bandages on his right arm were still on in case anyone happened to interrupt him. Finally, about time I got it right. Now all it needs is a name. Standing up straight, he took a deep breath. You can come out now, Mizuki, he said, turning towards where he sensed him. Oh, how you doing, Naruto? How did you know it was me? The smiling Chunin asked, coming out the shadow of a tree with a large scroll on his back. You're not very good at hiding your killing intent, Naruto said, staring him in the eye. Judging from those weapons, you came here for a purpose, so drop the nice guy act. Mizuki's face took on a more sinister look. I came here to destroy you, demon. I was just going to take the scroll and leave, but I want revenge for everything you put me through. Poor Mizuki, you're not still sore from my little pranks, are you? You should have known better than to mess with me. Naruto chuckled, then added. Besides, they couldn't have been that bad, could they? You have no idea how horrible it was. Mizuki screamed, a crazed look settling in his eyes. Day after day, over and over again, the pranks just kept coming. I was the laughing stock of the village for years. It only kept getting worse. And it's all your fault. You were the one who did each and every one of those pranks. I never caught you, but I knew it had to be you. Yeah, whatever, you know you really shouldn't blame others for your problems in life. And I see you're a traitor now, as a total loser, so that means I can have fun taking you down. Naruto took a deep, mocking bow. Shall we dance? Setting the scroll down carefully to the side, Mizuki started the battle by hurling one of his oversized shuriken at Naruto. The oversized weapon was harmlessly batted away by Yamato. But the time it gave him was all Mizuki needed to finish his string of hand seals. Katan, Gakkaku no Jutsu, he called out, exhaling a bullet of flames. Naruto, not impressed by the move, just jumped into the air, over the ball of fire, only for another to follow him into the air. Just who does he think I am, some amateur? He thought, switching, readying Yamato in its sheath. Judgment cut, he said calmly. Yamato left its sheath with blinding speed, cutting through the air with a lightning-quick slash before returning to its sheath in the blink of an eye. An arc of light seemed to strike the fireball. When Yamato clicked back into its sheath, the ball of fire just bursted into embers. Not bad for its first use against a real opponent. Mizuki didn't know what happened to the fireball, but he moved as soon as he had launched the attack. He spared a glance back to the origin of the fireball to see a huge trench slash carved in the ground. How did he do that? Naruto landed softly. He then dragged his bandaged thumb across his neck in a throat-slitting gesture before extending his arm with his thumb pointing down. That was pathetic. You can do better than that, can't you? Mizuki just gaped at how close the attack came to hitting him. Naruto then got into a defensive stance with Yamato sheathed on his right side with his left hand on the hilt. Going through more hand seals, one Mizuki became 5 with a cry of Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Then 3 clones charged at him head-on. Illusions? Naruto wondered. He then noticed the clouds of dirt kicked up by their footsteps. No, they're solid. How does the loser know a move like that? The first 2 reached him at the same time, splitting paths and lunging from opposite directions. One swiftly had his torso separated from his legs. The next, who attacked his blind spot, was stabbed in the stomach before having the sword torn through his side. Both bodies, or what was left of them, disappeared in small bursts of smoke before they hit the ground. The third Mizuki clone seemed to pause for a moment, then resumed its charge. You think he noticed that tactic, didn't dash? The Mizuki ducked under Naruto's sword stroke, aimed for his head and grabbed onto the blade before starting to glow. Bunshin Daibakuha, it shouted. Never mind, Naruto quickly releasing his sword to jump away. The following explosion threw his sword into a tree trunk. Fucker, that was sneaky, I like that, he thought while landing on the ground. Ha, right where I want you, demon. The last 2 Mizuki lunged at him with their huge shuriken positioned to kill. Don't really have a choice. Oh well, not like he is going to be able to tell anyone after I'm done beating the stupid into him. Naruto sighed as he brought up his right arm to shield him from the blow. The weapons found their mark but didn't cut though like Mizuki planned. Instead of blood, when the weapons impacted the bandages exploded outward in a brilliant blue shockwave of power. Then with a roar Naruto retaliated. Using monstrous strength a student fresh out the academy shouldn't have had, he pushed the two back with a swing of his demonic arm. The blow dispersed the clone and threw Mizuki back into a tree, his weapon shattering from the power unleashed in the swing. Mizuki looked up fearfully at the creature before him. The sun was almost completely gone, and the darkness seemed to increase the evil glow of Naruto's arm as the boy stood over him. "What are you?" he managed to stutter out in terror, looking around for any way to escape. Naruto just looked at his glowing arm. "Come on, Mizuki. You were the calling me a demon over and over again. What with the piss your pants look? Afraid because the demon can defend himself?" Mizuki knew he didn't have much left. He was tired and almost out of chakra. The boy looked no worse than when he had started the fight. He had to finish this and get away in one move. He began to slowly, carefully set his ninja wire in position. Naruto looked up from staring at his arm and saw the act of desperation. "Look Mizuki, I'm feeling generous since I got my new move down. I'll humor you and give you one last shot. Come on boy, come on, make it count," he said, clapping his hands as if talking to a dog, a really stupid dog. Mizuki didn't waste his chance as ninja wire flew from his hands wrapping around Naruto. With a hard pull and a jump into the air, Naruto was now tied to the tree Mizuki had been leaning against previously. Mizuki gathered all the chakra he could into his finisher. He didn't care about escaping anymore. He just wanted to see this monster dead. Bringing the wires to his mouth, he shouted his technique, Ryuka no Jutsu, sending out a monstrous torrent of flame towards Naruto's bound body. Naruto just looked on as the flames met him. He didn't even scream when the fire engulfed him. The fire was so strong it burned though the tree itself. The tree groaned as it crashed to the ground. Mizuki hunched over gasping for breath, looking into the shadows where Naruto had been. There was no movement, no sound, nothing. "I did it?" Mizuki laughed. "I did it. I destroyed the demon. I'll be a hero." Mizuki's joy-filled cries were cut off by his scream of pain. Falling to the ground, he stared at the bloody stump that used to be his leg and then to the blue ethereal blade in the ground a few feet away. But, not bad, I think I'm kind of impressed," Naruto said, landing in front of him. "I take that back. What use is a powerful attack like that when you don't make sure that you get the real opponent? But I'll cut you some slack and give you a D- for effort." "But how? I trapped you, there's no way you could have got out," Mizuki screamed hysterically. "I know, not bad huh? Your handy little technique helped out a lot, still gonna have to work out some of the kinks though." Then it hit him, Kage Bunshin. He managed to recreate my technique and use it against me in the middle of the battle after only seeing it performed once. That should be next to impossible without a Sharingan. Seeing Naruto's unharmed form broke Mizuki, he had nothing left. "You were toying with me, weren't you? You got me. Mizuki-sensei can't get past you, can I? You should feel honored though. After all, I used my newest technique on you," Naruto said, pointing to the blue blade in the ground that was starting to disperse. "I like the term summon sword for it, but I guess it doesn't matter with the surprise and all. I'm also still trying to make the damn things explode too," Naruto said thoughtfully, then continued. "I'll get it eventually. But this is enough to keep you here till the old man shows up. All your chakra is used up, and even if you did have enough to move, let alone walk, you only have one leg. And of course there is still the fact that I'm here," the boy said smugly. "But I do have one question. If you think I'm a demon, what the hell's up with all the fire jutsus? Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? You really are the QB no Yuko then," Mizuki said mournfully. "I'm not the demon, I'm a devil, there is a difference," Naruto answered. "He attacks me first and I'm the bad guy. Maybe my pranks may have messed with his head a little more than I thought." Mizuki knew he was beaten, so he had nothing left to lose. He was drained of chakra, disabled, and he could feel the Hokage's chakra getting closer. He was going to either be killed or tortured and killed. So he would go for a low blow. Naruto was walking to go retrieve his sword. Ironically, it was stuck in a tree a few feet away. "Must have been moving around more than I thought." Mizuki then took his last cheap shot. "That explains how your mom died then." At those words, Naruto froze. "What the hell are you talking about?" The question came out harsh. Anyone could tell that was a sore topic. "It's obvious, isn't it? You killed her! Mizuki yelled out to his still form. Naruto turned as soon as the words left his mouth. That's a fucking lie. Take that back. The mocking gleam was gone from his eyes. They were now as cold and hard as glaciers. Mizuki was terrified at the killing intent Naruto was leaking out, but he was dead anyway. I bet you had fun torturing and raping her. Seeing the life leave her eyes as she died, you damn FO. Before he finished the last word, Naruto was on top of him, his human hand holding him by the hair, while his demonic one started to repeatedly punch him in the face. Naruto had a look of pure hatred on his face as beat Mizuki mercilessly, his fists slamming into Mizuki's face over and over again. I'd never hurt her, never. He didn't stop even though he felt the man's skull start to crack from his blows, even though he saw the blood smeared on his hand and Mizuki's face, and he ignored Mizuki's shouts of pain that turned to pleas for mercy, and then to whimpers of a man begging for death. She loved me. Don't you ever talk about her. You hear me? Overcome with rage, Naruto stopped punching him, grabbed him by his head, spun his broken body around him and released him to soar across the clearing. Then tearing Yamato from a tree it was sheathed, and he hurled the sword after him with all his might. But that wasn't enough. Following after Yamato were 5 ethereal blades summoned one after the other. Mizuki slammed into the tree. He felt his spine snap from the impact, but strangely he couldn't feel anything. Everything just went numb as a spiderweb of cracks shot out from where his body connected with the tree. Before he could even fall to the ground, Yamato flew true and stabbed deep into the middle of his chest, bursting from the bark on the opposite side with blood leaking from the tip. He didn't even have the energy left to scream in pain, or even fear as the blue blades followed. Thunk, 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 thunk. 4 blades stabbed deep into his stomach. Life blood shot out of his mouth, and he raised his head just as the last blade hit him. The blade cut off his head with ease, even cutting down the tree itself. Blood shot from his neck like a fountain, only for it to pool on the ground, missing Yamato's hilt since the blade was buried deep into his chest. This is the sight the Hokage came to see when he entered the clearing with 4 ANBU behind him. He faintly heard one of them whisper, "Damn, overkill much?" As 2 went to inspect the body and the other 2 to retrieve the scroll, Sarutobi walked towards Naruto, who was walking up to the body himself. Walking next to Naruto, who didn't break his stride, he asked, "Did you do this, Naruto?" Naruto stopped in front of the body and just looked at him before reaching forward and pulling Yamato from Mizuki's definitely dead body with a sickening squelch sound, letting the body crumple to the ground with nothing left to support it, summoned swords having already dispersed. Naruto flung the blood off in an elegant motion and sheathed his sword, then answered, "I disposed of a traitor, Hokage-sama." The Hokage knew the look in the boy's eyes. He could see the carefully hidden hatred clearly, and he knew it wouldn't pay to scold him since killing was natural in a ninja's career. "Very well, Naruto, but I want a report on what happened tonight on my desk tomorrow along with your ninja profile. And also I want no one to know of this. It's hard enough keeping you out of trouble without people out to get you. Is that understood?" Naruto smiled. "Yeah, thanks, old man." Then went to gather his coat before jumping off. Sarutobi then turned, looked at Mizuki's body sprawled out on the ground in its own blood. Then followed a trail of the red substance to the unrecognizable head a little ways to his right. One of the man's legs was gone. His body had what looked like deep sword wounds. His back was bent at an unnatural angle. The head itself worse than that. The hair was dyed red in its own blood, and his face was just a bloody smear, looking mangled and twisted with almost no features to identify it to the man he was in life. "You really were a fool to bring this upon yourself, Mizuki," he whispered under his breath. "Devils don't cry." It was a beautiful new day. The sun was shining brightly in the sky. The birds were singing. "Just take the damn picture already, old man. I got shit to do." "Fine. Kids today, no respect for their elders." And Naruto was in a hurry to get his picture taken so he could get the old man off his back. Flash. Naruto stood in his picture with all his clothes on. His shuriken holster was securely strapped to his left leg, and his right arm once again bandaged to the shoulder. His silvery untamed hair and trench coat danced in the wind behind him. Arms crossed over his chest and Yamato on the right side of his hip. His handsome face seemed slightly feral with the whisker-like birthmarks on his cheeks. If anyone saw this picture they would wonder how the fangirls hadn't sunk their claws into him yet. Why the hell does a ninja need a picture anyway? Shouldn't we not want to be seen? Whatever, it's too early for this shit. Devils don't cry. Naruto was now sitting in front of the old man, and some random guy who thought he was the shit because he got to sit next to the Hokage. Is this the full report, Naruto? Sarutobi asked with a hint of suspicion in his voice. Yeah, I even detailed how I kicked his ass. Can I go now? I want to work the bugs out of a jutsu I'm learned. Very well, you may both suddenly turn towards the door. It slid open and a small boy jumped out. With a battle cry of, "Prepared to die, old man." The boy then tripped on his scarf and went crashing face first into the ground. Naruto could just feel the large sweat drop forming on the back of his head. Then this other guy with sunglasses walked in and started blubbering about nothing. Naruto got up to walk out the room when the boy came to stand in front of him. Hey, you tripped me, he yelled, pointing at Naruto. No, I didn't. Now out of my way, Naruto said, picking the boy up by his collar and glaring at him, his right arm showing no signs of strain from the extra weight. Unhand him at once, Naruto, that is the Hokage's grandson, Konohamaru. The guy with sunglasses said. Naruto looked up at the guy, then back to the kid who now had a smug look on his face. I don't care who he is, keep him out of my way or he'll be dog meat, or should I say fox meat. The small boy then let out a cry of surprise as he was flung effortlessly into the wall and landing, none too gently, on his rear. Ow, that hurt, he though on the verge of tears. What gonna cry, grandpa's boy? Naruto taunted, walking out. Suck it up, kid, crying doesn't get you anywhere. Learn how to fight your own battles. And with that he was gone, ignoring the sunglassed man's stunned look. Who does that guy think he is? Wait a second, Naruto. As in Naruto the prank master, I have to get him to train me. The small boy was off, pain a distant memory. Everyone seemed to ignore the guy with sunglasses as he kept talking gibberish. Devils don't cry. Naruto was really annoyed now. This kid just wouldn't take a hint. The run had followed him all the way to the training ground he was going to use. Listen, you're going to come out right now before I punt you into the Hokage monument, he said, agitated. So it's true you are the great Uzumaki Naruto, the boy said as he revealed himself from his, rather poor, hiding spot. What? Am I famous or something? Naruto questioned the boy that walked up to him. You don't know? The boy asked. Well, gee, I guess not since I'm asking, Naruto said, annoyed. Konohamaru seemed to burst. You're the great Uzumaki Naruto. You're a prankster legend. You're the only academy student ever to prank ANBU, the Hyuga, and my grandpa without getting caught. Your pranking genius and creativity strike fear into the hearts of the most battle-hardened shinobi. You've also only been caught twice, once by grandpa and once by the legendary Iruka-sensei, only person ever to keep up with you besides the Hokage, of course, and even then you let them catch you. And, Naruto decided to stop the rant before the kid died from lack of air. Okay, I get it, you're a fan, so what, you want an autograph or something? No, I mean yes I do, but that can wait. Can you please train me? The boy asked. I'll do anything to learn your legendary Oiroku no Jutsu. It's said you once made the Hokage as well as a full squad of ANBU pass out from blood loss with the Jutsu. There is also the rumor that you have created a newly improved version of the Oiroku no Jutsu that is said to be 1,000 times more deadly. Naruto was dumbfounded. I didn't know I was that famous. All of that was mostly just training exercises. How did they hear about the Harem no Jutsu anyway? I don't remember ever using it. Well, he's right. With the Kage Bunshin it has been perfected. Naruto decided to humor the kid. Guess I do need someone to take my place since I'm leaving the academy. Gotta keep Iruka-sensei on his toes. Alright kid, I accept you as my first apprentice. But be warned, if you accept this position you will listen to everything I tell you. If I say jump, you will jump high, and you will not come down till I tell you to do so. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Naruto now stood straight with his hands behind his back. Konohamaru instantly followed his example. Sir, yes sir, he said, standing at attention. I can't hear you, maggot. Naruto shouted down to the smaller boy. Sir, yes sir, Konohamaru shouted back at the top of his lungs. Alright, then let's begin, shall we? Naruto said, cracking his knuckles. Devils don't cry. How dare that monster steal my student away from me? I am the elite of the elite. Only I can properly shape the boy into a worthy successor to the Hokage title. I, the great tutor Ebisu, will crush the demon fox and reclaim my student so he can continue on the true path to greatness. Aha, there you are. With that, Ebisu jumped from his watch point, fading from view. Devils don't cry. Naruto and Konohamaru were currently sitting on a log taking a breather. Or more like Naruto was watching Konohamaru take a breather. Not bad, kid, not bad. You managed to impress me, and that's not very easy, Naruto said to his young charge. Konohamaru smiled. Thanks, boss. The small boy could feel himself swelling from the praise. Of course, Naruto continued. It's gonna take much more to become Hokage, so don't even think about getting a big head. Konohamaru visibly deflated. Naruto then let out a deep sigh. Also know this now, I may be your teacher and you my student, but in the end I'm only your guide. I can show you how I fight and I can show you every one of my jutsus. The small boy perked up in excitement at the idea. But the truth is you're not me and you never will be. Only you can define the style that fits you best. You could grow differently than me, making the way I fight awkward for you. And even with the same jutsu as me, you'll still be unable to use them exactly as I do, with chakra level and control differences. But boss, listen to me, Konohamaru. I want you to ask yourself this: did the Hokages all have the same jutsu? How about strengths, weaknesses? Of course not, they were all unique, different. Each one defined their own style that fit them best and kept making it stronger to balance or get rid of weaknesses. Naruto paused to let it sink in, then continued. The Hokages were great men, but that's just it, they still started as regular guys. They had to crawl before they could walk just like everyone else. They weren't born powerful, or wise, or leaders. But what they did different, what defined them as Hokages, is that when they were faced with a seemingly impossible obstacle, they didn't back down. No, they rose to meet that challenge head-on. They did the impossible itself. That's how they became great men. That is how they became Hokages. Naruto then sensed another presence coming. Honorable grandson, I've come to take you away from this nuisance. I forbid you to be in his presence any longer. Only I can show you the quickest path to the title of Hokage, Ebisu said, landing in the clearing. No, go away. Shut up, kid. Naruto interrupted, then turned toward the teacher. What kind bullshit are you going on about? You know as well as I do there is no quickest path to Hokage. Silence. I do not need you turning my own student against me. I want you to stay away from him. The man finished this with a cold glare laced with a little killing intent. Naruto was completely unfazed by the attempt to scare him. Look, I'll make you a deal. You and me right here. I win, you actually teach Konohamaru instead of just preaching bullshit, and if you win I'll stay away from him. Naruto then took a defensive stance, while whispering to Konohamaru. Watch close if you want to see the perfected version of the Oroku, so stand back. I accept your challenge, boy. I am far more skilled than that fool Mizuki. Taking his own stance. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu 1 Naruto then became dozens surrounding Ebisu. What? You think this move could never possibly beat? He stopped when he noticed them all make a simple henge seal. When the large smoke screen had cleared away, Ebisu had trouble breathing. Girls, naked, completely different from each other, of all shapes and sizes. The only thing they had in common was their beauty. They had gorgeous, not one dog was among them. They were suddenly all over him, perky breasts and smooth legs rubbing against him. Just as most of his blood about to leave from his nostrils, he felt the sharp prod of a blade all over his body. Wah! The women were still close to him, but each held a very deadly-looking katana somewhere on his body. Ebisu-sama, one of the blondes, whispered huskily into his ear. If you have a nosebleed like the pervert you are, we're going to teach you a very, very painful lesson. Do you concede? The question was punctuated by a rather painful prod from her sword. I concede, he stated miserably. The brat only used the technique to get in close. How foolish of me to let my guard down. They all disappeared in clouds of smoke, even the one that asked him to concede. Naruto calmly walked up to him through the smoke. Now you lost fair and square to my Harem no Jutsu. You have to teach the kid, not just preach to him. And you better make him work hard, don't you dare baby him, and none of that shortcut crap. If he doesn't listen, just tell me, I'll fix that. Naruto then walked to Konohamaru. You tell me if this perverted idiot starts getting lazy. And you better not slack off yourself or else. Konohamaru paled and swallowed the nervous lump in his throat, thinking of the things Naruto could put him though. See ya, I'll try and say hi whenever I can, but I'm not making any promises when. Naruto started to walk off. Why did you help me so much? Konohamaru asked quietly. Naruto paused and without turning around answered. Because kid, you have the same goal as me. But I don't know if I'll reach my goal. So I need someone to fill that seat if I don't make it. Oh, and be sure to only use that technique only on the opponents I told you about. Naruto walked away, disappearing into the shadows. Ebisu walked over to Konohamaru. What is the technique he spoke of? Did he teach it to you? Yeah, I managed to master it too. Wanna see? The young boy asked excitedly. Why, of course, I may be able to point out something the two of you might have missed. Putting his hands in a seal-gathering chakra, he was obscured in a cloud of smoke. Whatever Ebisu was expecting, it wasn't this. Out of the smoke came one of the most beautiful women he'd ever seen. Long brown hair fell to her shoulders, lovely brown eyes, full lips, long smooth legs, and the cloud of dispersing smoke barely left anything to the imagination, barely managing to conceal her large C-cup breast and forbidden area between her legs. Well, what do you think, Ebisu-sama? She asked, shyly blushing under his gaze. Before he knew it, the blood rushed from his nose. The force so great it lifted him off the ground, only for him to come crashing down a moment later. All this was too much for him as his brain started to shut down from sudden blood loss. As his teacher passed out, Konohamaru let the technique go. He paused for a moment to make sure his teacher was out, by poking him with a stick a couple of times. Then a joy-filled cry burst from his lungs. Yes, Oiroku no Jutsu is a success. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.